Okay, good evening, everyone. Now we are going to make an analysis based on Kamala Markande's Snake Dynasty. So we hope to go through these facets by beginning from the description of author, then social, economic, political, interpersonal and intrapersonal information, characters and characterization, language and literary devices, then end with themes. So I invite Chamatka to go ahead.
Thank you, Manisha. Let's focus on the author. Under that, Kamala Markande was the pseudonym of Kamala Purnaya Taylor, and she is widely regarded as the first female Indian diasporic author. And many of her novels consist with themes, these mentioned themes. And being as an expatriate or former patriot, she attempts to patch up the Hindu-Western culture and tries to reconcile them. As the final point, her cultural dilemma is revealed by the protagonist, Rukmani. And now we are going to our next topic. It's about the social phenomenon. Under the first one, the burden of pastoral lifestyle of South Asian human community. So due to the impact of intensive urban development, those villagers has to deal with troubling times and circumstances, and in that case, their lives blends with passage of sorrow and measured hope. The next issue about post-colonialism. When we go through the novel, it is evidently emphasized the colonization with unfactual information. The third one is child bride. Nowadays, it is an obsolete practice and as well as social crisis in the world. But even we can see that the majority of the Indian women face into this tragic fate. For an example, Rukmani traces her role as an uncertain child bride. The next one is profit and dowry-oriented marriage. Hindus are consider that a girl cannot marry without a dowry, which is present showcases their social layer, and this exploits their family. And furthermore, because of Rukmani's father's fortunes have declined by the decline under the British rulers, she have to marriage with the tenant farmer Nathan. And the next one is paganism and fatalism. Both of these issues are deeply rooted in Hinduism. And the next one is tragic impact of vagaries of nature, adverse effect of drought and the monsoon lashes drives those community to an economic downfall with starvation, and it is emphasized the timeline of Great Famine in India. And move on to our last one. It's about economic transformation. And under the transition of social forces, they has the changes in this field. So now the time is for Manisha.
Okay, thank you, Chamatka. When it comes to economic information, through the novel Nectar Sieve, it depicts agricultural economy as the novel portrays a family living as a subsistence farmers in pastoral India. Furthermore, the novel represents in the time period before the arrival of tannery, agriculture is the key factor which decides the economy of this poverty-stricken Indian community. In the next point, if we consider about the time period after the arrival of tannery, here we can find industrial capitalism. Based on industrial capitalism, through Barry Argyle's article, it convinces the downfall of traditional lifestyle of an Indian territory by a tannery and how the devastation occurs in the traditional values of this Indian community. On the other point is the economy of the family depend on marriage. Under the fact, we can find the economic downfall of Rukmani's father made the path for Rukmani to marry a poor tenant farmer, depicting that the fate of a woman who is herself poor. Next, under the fact nature versus economy, in the article, Barry Argyle showcases how nature makes lives of these people, poverty-stricken people easy and hard. Same as he depicts the situation that Rukmani's family faces for natural disasters as floods and droughts and loses all their harvest. When it comes to poverty, Markandeya expresses that poverty is the base for all these circumstances which happens in this novel. In the article, it emphasizes a critical point, the fall on death of Nathan, which happens in the rain on a muddy surface. Same as the point that picking stone in a quarry to survive. Through all these, it evokes the way that poverty decides the fates of people as it made the fate of Nathan. Okay, then Sumaya.
Thank you, Manisha. I will be talking about the political facets in the novel. In the article, we find both macro and micro politics. Under macro politics, we find colonization, the white man's exploitation on the non-white, and also the arrival of industrialization, which is symbolizes to the tannery. As a negative impact of industrialization, we find damage to the environment, and which also causes damage to the culture and tradition of the life of Indians. As a result of industrialization, we find capitalism where money plays a major role in the life of the people. Moving on to the micropolitics, we find gender politics. For an example, Rukmani is given in marriage as a child bride by her father, and also Kamala Markandeya highlights the politics between sense and the sensibility, where we consider it as an internal politic within humans. Moving on to the next point, nature's politics. Sometimes we find that nature is a blessing to the community. Likewise, it becomes a curse as it destroys the economy of the people. Furthermore, in the novel, we find decentralization and great famine under macro politics, and we find feudalism, a hierarchy of women, and education politics under micro politics. Over to you, Tanuli.
Thank you, Sumaya. So I'm going to move on to my topic, interpersonal information regarding the novel Nectar in the Sea. So let me continue with the first point. Rukmani is recalling her past memories of her loving husband. Of course, yes. Although her husband is already died, she is still living with her husband's memories in her past. So this point depicts through the Rukmani's dialogue, sometimes I think my husband is with me, because she is still living with her husband's memory in her past despite their separation from the death. So, and also in other point, we find which kind of a bond Nathan had towards Rukmani through the dialogue, and your husband sees your beauty when no one sees before. So this point also suggests that Nathan and Rukmani's great kind of unconditional love and strong bond they had in their marriage life. So let me go to my next point. Rukmani's and Puli's confused relationship. Are they really confused about each other? Yes, because Rukmani had some sort of a guilty and some sort of a confused sense about when it's come to Puli's adoption, because she thinks that she was not able to give him a better life even after adopting him as an adopted child. And Puli was not able to sure about their relationship, but they both accept each other. So let me continue my presentation with my next topic, intrapersonal information. My first topic under the interpersonal information is Puli's psychological condition as a street child who is suffering from leprosy. So Puli is a child who is suffering from leprosy and who is growing without any children, any parents in a street. So despite his dark past, he was the person who was able to help both Rukmani and Nathan and when they arrived at the city. So now through Nathan's dialogue, lead on, we are on your hands, we find Puli's strong psychological and physical strength. And as the last point, I'm talking about moral paralysis and moral dilemma of Rukmani. Is she really morally paralyzed about her past? Of course, especially losing her many of children and also losing her husband after his death. She was really paralyzed, and after the adaptation, Rukmini was in a moral dilemma due to that adaptation of Puli, because she thinks that, as I mentioned before, she was not able to give him a better life after adopting him. So these points drove Rukmini into moral paralysis and moral dilemma. So I would like to continue. Let's press to Harindi.
Your 10-minute mark is up.
Thanks, Tori. As you can see, the character map of the novel, and I would like to go with four symbolic characters of the novel. Rukmani, the protagonist, she symbolizes the epitome of resilience and greatness with the journey of a child bride to the mature woman, and with the line, "What could the woman ask for?" That implies how she is satisfied with her marriage with Nathan, and also we can assume that the writers attempt to represent all the traditional and typical women in India is successful with the characteristics of Rukmani. Then Nathan, Rukmani's husband, who is little caring and good one, but he's not a strong character. But with the influence of Rukmani and the support of Rukmini, Nathan's character growing path is stronger and stronger. So once Kal told to Rukmani that he built her heart with his own hands and doesn't even take her husband's help. So that shows how he wanted to make her comfortable in his wanted to make her comfortable after the marriage. Then Kenny, he symbolizes the industrialization and westernization. He introduces Western medicine to the village, and he builds a hospital to the poor people. And all over the novel, Rukmani says that he is determined to find ways and means that he stands up as well. So he is against poverty and injustice against poor people. Last but not the least, Puli, he is the adopted son of Rukmani. He is a very big emotional support to the Rukmani after the death of Nathan, and despite being a child, he strongly helped Rukmani to come over that sadness, that grief about Nathan's death. Also, can be proven by the line. He's the person who helps her to this time is Puli. So I think Puli's character is a strong character despite being a minor character. So that's all about characters.
Thank you, Harindi. When it comes to the language and literary devices, we can see that the novelist has adopted this semi-autobiographical mode of narration and also the first-person narration. Then the Rukmani, the heroine narrator of this story, reminisces about the truths and trials of her life. Her language is filled up with Indianness, further her language is mixed up with Indian culture. Okay, then her language is very descriptive because of this excessive use of imagery like tannery, their house, colors, god, and animals like snake and cow. As in the article, we can see that tannery and hospital as symbols. Here, tannery symbolizes the modernity. I mean, the arrival of this tannery affects their occupation, their survival. People get uprooted from their land. Then hospital symbolizes the arrival of westernization through this Western medicine. The character Kenny too a symbol in this novel. As in the article, tragic irony is there with Rukmani's father was a man of status in the village and she never expected to marry a poor tenant farmer like Nathan. And then the pathetic fallacy is there in the novel, and also writer uses some metaphors like property is more important than a child. Okay, then Sumaya.
Thank you, Ashara. Moving on to the themes, nature versus man-made nature. Nature flourishes the life. Correspondingly, we find man-made nature destroys the life. Woman and sexuality is one of the other main themes highlighted in the novel. We find that woman Rukmani is given birth, and then she marries. She culturalizes herself, she dies, and we find that Rukmani both fulfills and defies the stereotype of traditional Indian womanhood. Moving on
15
to
minutes is up.
Urban, and we find the theme love and marriage and acceptance and bearing. Thank you.